Mr. Speaker, I'd like to provide an update on the latest unbelievable revelations concerning high-speed rail, the high-speed rail disaster in California. Yesterday, California's legislative analysts testified before the state legislature that the project faces a $7 billion budget gap and the funds must be secured by next June. The legislative analyst's spokesperson said there is no specific plan, this is a quote, there is no specific plan to meet that roughly $7 billion gap. We also think there is some risk that that gap could grow. Indeed, the hearing at which the legislative analyst testified was very brief because the High-Speed Rail Authority submitted an incomplete update to those who had organized the hearing. So the High-Speed Rail Authority can't manage to complete anything on time, even its own reports to the legislature, let alone building a high-speed train from Los Angeles to San Francisco, or even that very first segment from Bakersfield to Merced, which is now projected to miss the 2033 deadline. Listen to the bipartisan pushback that this is getting. Assemblymember Stephen Bennett, Democrat from Ventura, he said, quote, "We have no plan. We have a good likelihood it's going to get worse, and we have a short time to solve the problem," he said. The definition of insanity, said Democrat Assemblymember Cotty Petrie Norris, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Now here's the truly amazing thing, is the legislative analyst testified that this update that the Rail Authority provided, even this incomplete update, assumes there will still be federal dollars. So they're saying there's a $7 billion budget shortfall for just the next few months that has an unrealistic assumption that goes with it, there's going to be further federal funding. I can say this right now, there will not be further federal funding. How do I know that? Because I was at a press conference with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just a few weeks ago in Los Angeles, where it was made very clear that this project is a failure, and in fact there is now an investigation that has been launched by the Department of Transportation to claw back billions that have been granted. I have also asked for an investigation by FBI Director Kash Patel to figure out how it is exactly that they've already spent $17 billion, that the overall cost has grown to an excess of $130 billion, and yet no track has been laid after 16 years of some kind of work supposedly being done. And finally, I have introduced legislation to make the high-speed rail project ineligible for further federal funding at any point going forward, which again, the Rail Authority is entirely reliant on the assumption of federal funding just to get to a point where there's only a $7 billion budget gap for just the next few months. The fact of the matter is that this project has failed. It is not going to happen, and there is absolutely no justification for spending another dollar of taxpayer money, especially when our roads continue to crumble and be rated among the worst in the world. So I'll be advancing my legislation here, and I'm calling on Governor Newsom and the legislature to do the right thing and bring an end to this failed project, this embarrassing project, once and for all.